Hello and welcome. Lance, your helpful librarian here with another tip for effective e-learning teaching. Today we are going to talk about the personalization principle.
This is the story of Megan and the class, a personalization principle story. Meet Megan. Megan is frustrated. Her e-learning class is boring. She feels disengaged. What can she do? Mr. Anderson, Megan's teacher, is also frustrated. He wants his students to be engaged with classes and for his classes to be enjoyable. What can he do? Mr. Anderson tells his colleague Mrs. Smith about his situation. She has an idea. Has he ever heard of the personalization principle? First, she says, you can use a personal and conversational style. She explains that using a more casual presentation approach will result in a more friendly tone and will help to activate a sense of social presence for Megan. The lesson will become more of a conversation for Megan and encourage deeper interaction with the lesson. Megan's brain will be primed for deeper learning. But don't overdo it. Mrs. Smith gives an example of what not to do. Hey there, everybody! I've got a super duper lesson for you today that's going to knock your socks off! That would be a little too much of a good thing, don't you think? As you can see, says Mrs. Smith, this level of personalization can be distracting for students and draw their attention away from the lesson material. Voice quality and politeness can also help you connect with Megan, says Mrs. Smith. And research has found that people prefer a friendly and polite human voice over a robotic sounding voice. This is known as the voice principle, she says. And, she continues, research also seems to indicate that standard accents promote learning more than foreign accents. Mrs. Smith reminds Mr. Anderson to use a polite voice and offers two examples. Use a polite voice in your e-lessons. And consider using a polite voice in your e-lessons. Which one sounds better? The second one, said Mr. Anderson, smiling. You can also use on-screen coaches to reach your students like Megan, said Mrs. Smith. Coaches can look like people, animated objects, or creatures. The choice is up to you. One thing to note, coaches must sound authentic, not robotic. I'm not sure which coach Megan prefers, but research suggests that a coach is beneficial. I think I'm starting to get this, said Mr. Anderson. Third, you can enhance learning for students like Megan by making yourself, the author, visible in the lesson. You can try using an interview style or include yourself in examples. While questions remain about personalization, we do know that personalization helps students like Megan in the learning process. Great, said Mr. Anderson. I'm going to apply the personalization principle to my e-learning lessons right away. Megan was very pleased with the changes that Mr. Anderson made to his e-lessons. They certainly were more engaging. And the moral of the story is that following the personalization principle can make e-learning materials more engaging for students like Megan.
Thank you for watching this video about the personalization principle. See you next time.